welcome to the first ever GI Game Club for Monster Hunter World, everybody! Fantastic. It sounds like it's just me if you're just listening to the audio version, but I assure you that is not the case.
Lots more people here.
There's a lot more excited people here at this table. We have Jeff Cork.
Hi.
Monster Chief himself.
Meow.
Then we have Jeff Marchiafava.
The other Jeff.
Someone from the first expedition. Laleh Tobin from production. You say hi. No, Lily, you really have to shout it.
Hi.
Okay, if you've never seen Laleh before, she is a graphic designer here at Game Informer who's a huge Monster Hunter fan. She was on the replay, and I got a lot of emails and tweets, people demanding Laleh be on this game club, which is awesome.
Oh, wow.
So pressure's on Laleh. Then we have Dan Tack.
Hey.
And Joe Juba.
That's me.
And Leo Vader in the booth. And also there's more people in this building. I think I'll just keep on naming them and keep going around the horn. Monster Hunter World. We are talking, I'm excited for this game club because we're always so narrative based. Like we talked about Uncharted 4. I think some of you were on that one. And it was one of those things where I think we got one email that's like, what weapon do you guys like? It's like, oh yeah, there's gameplay we should talk about in Uncharted instead of just the story beat to story beat. And so with this game club, it's going to be very, very systems heavy, very combat heavy, very hunt heavy, Dan Tack. Right?
We have the Pokemon Game Club had almost no story to talk about either. So it's not like completely.
I feel like we talked a lot about story with Pokemon Game
We
Club.
talked about how
Maybe
bad
too
it
much.
was.
It was not great. But with this one, we're talking about low rank fights, low rank hunts. But it's loose. Like if you haven't, Dan Tack, you're in the camp of it's tough to spoil this game. We're going to be talking about some hunts maybe you haven't gotten to, but we're not going to spoil
There really
it.
isn't anything to spoil as the.
What if you were to say something like Rathalos is in this game? Is that something a fan would find to be a spoiler?
I can't. No, not for one thing. That was well known like before the game came out. So they can expect to see familiar face. I'm just saying this is a very difficult. Most of the stuff in this game that is meaningful, it's you fighting the monster, not just knowing the monster is there.
Absolutely. And so this is part 1 of the game club. Part 2 is going to be talking about everything else in the game. High-end fights, Elder Dragon fights, all that stuff. So if you have thoughts on those, send it into podcast@gameinformer.com and stay tuned for the next episode. But for this episode, let's get going here. Monster Hunter World, everyone's been playing it. Just to set the scene, should we go around and give like an hour count of where roughly we're all at? Cork, you've been playing it for a while now. Do you know where you're at?
I have no idea.
Upwards of 20?
Oh, for sure.
What's your star rank or whatever? What are you?
17 or 18, I think.
Wow.
Holy.
Okay.
All right, Jeff
I
Cork,
didn't
you're a
know.
serious man. Fava, how are you doing?
I played about 15 hours.
Okay, Lay,
I've been really busy with
no excuses.
children,
Just
so under 10.
That's fine. That's fine. We love all ranges here. Dan Tack.
Around 85 hours.
Joe Juba.
I'm probably around 10 hours also.
Okay, I'm around like 16 myself, but I'm very bad at the game, so I'm probably not that far relatively. First question from Walters here. I love this question. Howdy, GI crew. Hello. With you guys playing now the final version of Monster Hunter World, I have to know if turtles are confirmed. Ever since hearing your first impressions talking about the game when you previewed it, Tack spoke of these turtles you can go up against. When I heard this, I was really excited, hoping for it to be true. If there are, in fact, turtles, this would be a literal game changer. Dan Tack, now that you've played through the complete game, there be turtles?
There is no turtle boss.
Oh.
There are heavier.
So wait, so you lied?
Heavier. I never said that for one thing.
He said,
I
for
didn't.
example, turtle.
I said, for example. All right, there was never any. I never actually said there were going to be turtles in the game.
So you can't get a turtle in your little cute room or anything like that?
There might be a cute pet turtle or something. To pick
Oh,
up
still
on.
keeping the door open.
Doors open
But,
on turtles,
and
everybody.
to be fair, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen every monster yet. I'm still
Really?
discovering. And we should talk about this in the next show. But even after campaign is complete, you are still discovering and learning about new and more dangerous monsters to fight and beat.
If you had to wager $100 on there still being a turtle in the game, would you take that bet?
No, I think a turtle would just be too cute and
Okay.
you're already bashing some hilarious stupid things like the Great Dragus, which every player has seen that's listening to this probably.
Such a cakewalk.
Or like the Kuluyatu or whatever it's called. Like just these monsters that don't really do much in the way of offense. Like
Yeah.
to put a turtle in as an end game light you up, you're going down thing. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't called for it in RPGs. Like the
did
defense
it-
is always crazy.
I know they've done it.
They did
I
it
know they
in
have.
Final Fantasy 15. The super boss is an enormous
Final
turtle.
Fantasy for some reason loves turtle bosses. Okay, and
That's
they always
true.
go in their shell, and then they do a big move when they come out. But let's not talk. We're not talking about Final Fantasy today.
We got a couple other random thoughts before we dive into the meat of this overall game club, I think. Anthony from Houston, thanks for writing in, Anthony. He says, hello, crew. I'm loving Monster Hunter World, but I just cannot get over the lip syncing during cutscenes.
Oh, man.
It's abysmal. especially the handler. It seems like half of her lines are delivered through a grin and clenched teeth, as if she's trying to keep her eternally positive disposition while struggling with a stomach ulcer.
Jeez.
Is that just
Everything else about this game is great, though, he says.
is that just a function of like if you have it in Japanese, the lip syncing lines up, and they didn't
I think
bother
so.
to go over
That's
it
what I
again?
was wondering. Yeah, you really have to play it as though you are watching a dubbed movie.
What do you guys think about just the cutscenes? I know this is not the highlight of Monster Hunter, but just the story so far. Has anything grabbed you guys?
I feel like
No.
it's nice that they're taking a little bit more effort in that realm. It's certainly not a story game by any stretch.
Yeah.
But it does have more there than previous entries where, it's literally just, hey, the monster's out there, go get them.
Like the big set piece Dora Magdaros, like first encounter, like trying to chain it down and stuff. I was actually really impressed by that entire thing. I didn't expect such a cinematic mission in the game.
Mhm.
Laleh, how do you think the story compares to previous Monster Hunters?
The series really never has had much in the way of like compelling storytelling.
You've
It's sort
avoided
of
it
just, like,
before.
get quests, like. So for me, it's not that important. I think it's probably more to sort of fit what's normal in like Western games and what
Okay.
would appeal more to like a wider audience.
But do we find it appealing? Like that's the question.
It doesn't bother me. It's
Yeah.
kind of fun. I like having the little like cinematic cutscenes mostly because it's fun for me to like take screenshots or like just have a moment to pause.
Yeah, with your artist's eye. A lot of those monster introductions I think are really cool. Like the,
The
Bareth one
ecology-
in particular, where he's like going in slow motion, firing at it. I think it's sweet.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
I want to jump in on something real
Yeah.
quick that Jeff said though, which is like you have to approach it like it's a dubbed movie or something. I think that does a big disservice to dubbing though too, because like because there's actually an art to doing dubs in terms of like writing the words and the timing to at least make it look like they're talking when words are coming out, and like they didn't even do that basic level of due diligence on this. Like there's just someone who's staring at you, mouth not moving at all as like dialogue is happening, and then their mouth starts. It's really distracting.
Are you talking about in the cutscenes or when you're like walking around town?
Like in the like cinematic scenes.
Okay.
I don't know if
haven't
that's
really-
true in the like really high like rendered ones or whatever,
Yeah.
but
It's driving me crazy on that cover story, Cork, because Cork and I went on the cover story. We were in Osaka playing the game in Capcom's headquarters, which was strange, but we played the first 10 hours or so back then. And playing it there, it was just driving me nuts the entire time of like, God, the leader, like the team leader, his voice is so familiar. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Is it Matt Mercer? But he's like McCree. Most importantly, probably he's Leon Kennedy. And so that's the thing. It's like, oh, of course, Leon. That's where I've heard that voice so many times. But last little oddball here. I don't know if this is a legally binding name, but he says, hello, Mr. Hanson. Jamie Lee Turtis here with a few observations. I'm new to the series. I'm finding the rabbit hole fascinating. The gameplay is currently enthralling, while the story and setting I wouldn't touch with Surreal's creepy spider digits. It's a podcast callback that Surreal's cool
Well
with.
worth it.
Yep. The real topic here are these cats, the palicos. The health department would have a field day at that canteen. The worst part isn't even eating their filthy cat food, but the fact that you participate in their enslavement? They call you Meowster? What's going on with the palicos in this game?
They're your cat pal. I mean, I think you're reading a lot into the game that's about killing, fake monsters that don't exist, and it's cool to have little cat companions. If you want more cats, in fact, the last Monster Hunter game for 3DS was all cats, and it was really annoying. So I'm glad we're back to regular cats.
What do you mean all cats?
There's cats everywhere. Palicos were everywhere. They owned they were in every town.
that
They
was
were
what,
everything.
Monster Hunter
You need to
Story?
like catch them and
Is that
level them up and trade them like
Generations?
Pokemon.
Oh,
and
okay,
stuff.
that one.
Oh, those
So not
generations,
story. I'm
okay.
not counting stories.
Yeah.
And who's to say that they're saying master and not Mister? But when you put meow in there, I think that
I played a
Jamie
female,
Lee,
so I think-
Jamie Lee Curtis is showing his bias a little bit there.
It could be. Also, real quick, Robbie from Tampa, and actually some other people wrote in too with just the idea of, I think it's because, what we talked about previously in this podcast, I think it's because Shadow of the Colossus is back in everyone's mind, but a couple people did write in, like Robbie here, saying like, you guys feel guilty at all? Laleh, I saw when we killed Toby Kadachi with each other, you were the first one to be like, oh my God, no!
I feel that way when I fought Bareth. Like, I just think he's a cool dude hanging out.
I like full on cry every time I kill a monster in Shadow of the Colossus. So like,
Right.
Yeah.
So this is at a much, much lesser scale for feeling guilty in any way.
it depends a lot on the monster.
Bareth I felt worse about because he just at one point he just sort of like goes and takes a nap in the mud, and I'm like, I'm gonna go murder that napping mud
He's like a
monster.
big dog.
I mean, let me address that a little bit, just since we're in the early hours. That will certainly change. They do the earlier monsters, I think, are a little bit more sympathetic.
Okay.
You will not ever feel guilty about taking down an Elder Dragon.
Oh,
Dan
no.
straight up
Comparison.
bloodthirsty for those elder dragons.
They're very angry monsters.
It could be, but
They
just
will
like,
chase you down. Okay, it'll be the
Oh
other way
man,
around.
I
yeah.
love killing the great Jaguars. I like imagining it's kids that I'm orphaning.
you don't have to
There's like-
imagine. You see the Jaguars,
Yeah,
the Jaguars
yeah,
buddy's
yeah.
like staring at it, like,
Yeah,
Daddy, no.
But
Yeah.
you know what? There's always another great Jaggers out there. It's
and then I'm
okay.
like, I'm going to convince you to join my team. You're going to like it.
Oh, Joe, you sick F.
Yeah, that's true.
Willie Plum really dives into it here. Plum in the depths saying, hello, crew. What I wanted to know is which weapon is everyone's favorite? Personally, I'm using and loving the insect glaive. I'm super stoked for this game club, and hopefully Laleh is on the game club.
Oh, jeez.
Well, Willie, I hope
Wish
you're happy.
fulfilled.
Mission
All right,
accomplished.
this is it. Now we're diving into the whole kit and caboodle, the meat and bananas here. Jeff Cork, what weapon are you using?
Light bowgun.
That you're sticking with that. You loved it on the cover story trip,
Yeah,
and you're just
I'm
riding
a
it to the
huge
grave.
fan of that. I like dropping the Wyvern blast, I think they're called, like the mines. I love getting in close, dropping those, and then blowing them up and causing a lot of AoE damage. I like being able to shoot things from a distance, obviously, because it is a bowgun. And it's nice to be able to do some of the environmental traps without switching to the slingshot thing, which I still don't have a great grasp of that
No.
because I don't have to because I'm just using a light bowgun.
So what happens when like a monster gets all up in your face when you have the light bow gun?
I drop a Wyvern blast and shoot it or roll out of the way. Like I stay very close. Like I've got all my mod slots for it are used with extra damage when I'm up close because it isn't intuitive, but I'm like all up in their faces, just like point blank range with this light bowgun. Like, so it's a ranged weapon in name only in many instances.
Do you think the range stuff is slightly easier? Like just two people that I'm playing with,
No.
they both took down Anjonath solo, and they're like, "Oh, it wasn't too bad," and they both had ranged weapons. So like maybe that's my problem here.
I'll give them some time. The range
They'll feel
weapons are more complicated, I would say. Having my main, I don't want to jump ahead of the line here, so I'll wait. But I'll address that when
You
it comes
can,
up.
you can say it.
No,
you're fine.
we're going around the horn.
Look, audio. There is no horn, Dan. Just say what
All right,
weapon you use.
So I main the heavy bowgun, but I did change in this game to experience the longswords. My first time using that in the series. So even though I'm still a huge fan of heavy bowgun, I needed something a little bit more faster as I got to the end game solo, because I was having some real trouble with reload times and stuff like that, giving the Elder Dragons a window and stuff beyond the Elder Dragons a chance to just blow me out. So without that reload time and dealing with that kind of stuff, it helped a lot in taking them down.
why do you think this game gave you more trouble solo than previous ones using a heavy bowgun?
I don't think it did. I think it gave me
Oh.
the same amount of trouble. Just at this point, I was just like, okay, well, this time I have enough materials to make a sword of the same quality. Let's give it a shot. Let's try one of these other weapons. I was going to do that anyway, but it was going to be post game. But I ended up doing it a little bit before then. And again, still mastering all the ammunition they're going to need later. Like Anjonath's one thing, but like making sure you got your poison stacks, depending on the gun. Like that's the crazy thing. Like every gun is good at something. Like one of them is going to be function better as say like a shotgun weapon that uses 3 kinds of spread ammunition. Others will focus on crowd controlling the monster so that you can pelt it with cluster bombs. They've all got their own little quirks, and you won't even know that usually until you've got the weapon in hand.
Do you run out of ammo like mid mission with those things?
Absolutely. The good ammo anyway.
Yeah, you've got like normal ammo that's like
You have
an
unlimited-
infinite supply.
You have crap ammo, but if you're using that, you better have that thing almost dead because it's not even going to feel it.
Weird. Cork, are you scared going to the endgame content with sticking with the gun then?
Absolutely.
Are you just crapping your
Well, I
pants?
think with like the heavy bowgun though, the reload on that is appropriately very slow, and you are just sitting there with your pants around your ankles as it's happening. It's quite awful. Like I built one just to see what the difference was like, and I was like, I don't like this. Like it does a lot of damage, but you are so vulnerable. I'm kind of interested with the insect glaive. Like I have not messed around with that at all, but I like conceptually what little I know about it.
Yeah, I think we found it on the cover story. We're going through the training area and like capturing footage, and I was dealing with some swords and having a fine but really frustrating time. And then we're going through the training area. It's like insect glaive. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I've been riding that since the beginning. I absolutely love it, and I very much don't understand it. Is anybody else playing with insect glaive?
I started with the sword and shield and then switched to the insect glaive for a little bit, but I was going up against Bareth, and I don't think I figured it out against someone that was so defensive like that.
Right.
But I was enjoying it, and I do like that you have the vault mechanic with it.
Vaulting, Joe, have you seen this?
No.
You should check it out. As a fan of like stylish action games, and that is not what Monster Hunter is clearly, but I think it'd be up your alley because it's so effing cool to vault, like use the pole basically to like launch yourself in the air. Then you have 2 different rocket jumps essentially in the air. You can rocket jump, which is what I'm going to call it, which is not appropriate. And then every time I do my attack, if I hit the monster, then it keeps you in the air. And so it's just continual series of aiming your slices in the air. And if you keep hitting it, you just stay in the air for so long. It's awesome. And you end up riding that monster so much more than the average player.
I think I need to do that actually. So again, I'm jumping ahead in the line, but it's like as someone who is like still trying to get into this series, like I played it on 3DS and used the dual blades there and seemed to like it, and that seems to be, I was talking to Dan about this earlier, it's like seems to be a decent sort of, hey, if you're trying to get into Monster Hunter, this is a good, like the dual blades are fast.
Okay.
They sort of cut in a horizontal, like they have like a horizontal swath, so like precise aiming isn't really necessary. Anyway, what I'm getting at though is I'm struggling to actually like have a lot of fun in the combat because it's like so straightforward, just like third person action. And I ran into that. I also, on Dan's recommendation, tried out the longsword, the katana.
Yeah.
And I was running into the same thing. So like I think even though I am a person who is like still trying to really sort of like latch onto the fun of Monster Hunter, I think I need to try one of the weirder or more complex weapons to really like make it sing for me.
That's interesting.
That's why I switched off of the sword and shield to begin with, and I ended up landing on the giant hammer, which I thought was going to be very basic, but it actually has kind of these weird charging powers with it and spinning attacks and stuff like that, and I've enjoyed it much more since I switched to that. It also does a crap load of damage,
Yeah,
which is nice.
That one, like with the great sword, it's really fun. Just it's a continual game of trying to get to that end game combo, right? Of just like, okay, 1, 2, oh, that was cut off. 1, 2, 3. All right, now I can hit it. And just having that constant loop within these larger battles is so much more fun. But that's the part. You guys, Laleh and Dan, kind of the Monster Hunter experts. Is it naive to say that some of these weapons are too simple?
I would say it's definitely with the longsword. I have not tried the dual blades in this current game, so I don't know if anything's different. But the longsword has some nuances that you definitely don't see if you're just doing thrusts and slashes. Like there's a move where you take the blade and hold it back and then shoot yourself sort of at the monster. If you aim it correctly, you'll shoot up into the air after it and do this crazy cool like katana, very anime style slashing down that will cut him like, many times if you aim it right. So, and can also enable a rodeo too, which is great. So
I love enabling rodeos.
Yeah, me too. So
wait, but the insect glaive has a rodeo thing also, right?
The insect glaive is the
everybody
rodeo
does,
weapon.
but because you spend so much time in the air, yeah, you end up landing on the thing a lot.
Okay.
Dan, can you help me out with the kinsects? Like
I mean,
launched them.
I'm not even going to claim to be an insect glaive player here. So
There's this whole thing where you have like little buddies,
Mhm.
and you send them out and you get like stat boosts. But I feel like there's more strategically, and especially trying to navigate the UI for the kinsects at the forge. Like I don't know what the hell is going on. I guess I'll just stick with this little guy because it's fun to send out a giant scarab and have him give me stat boosts.
basically every weapon that isn't the dual blades, the longsword, or the sword and shield is going to have all kinds of crazy, unique aspects to it that the other weapons do not have that you will want to investigate before diving in.
Laleh keeps sending me tutorial YouTube videos, and I keep meaning to get around to it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's really important, I think, to really like understand and master a weapon. You're not going to figure it out in a couple hours. There's a lot of, even the simpler ones, like there's a lot of layers of understanding that go into those, like landing the combos in a certain order in like a certain number of times unlocks like different tiers of damage that you get, or you get buffs. And so like something, for example, the insect glaive I've never used because it was like too intimidating for me. I'm really rusty, and like it's hard for me to learn a new one. I have like played so many thousands of hours with like 1 or 2 weapons that is just like I can't even.
What's your go-to?
I just always play with greatsword now, pretty much.
Really? Okay.
I used to be more well-rounded, but the ones that I can switch between easily are the simpler ones that I've spent the most time with. So like greatsword, longsword, hammer. That's just what I understand, but it's easier for me. I have trouble switching between things.
Does like the muscle memory from the 3DS games carry over pretty well into Worlds
It's
for all
pretty
these
much
weapons?
the same that it's always been. They've added like the charged slash for greatsword is expanded now, and there's I think 2 different ones, but you can you string them together, you get like different ends of the combo that you normally would.
Okay.
And like with greatsword, it's like less essential, I think, to like properly using it. Like if you can get any charged slashes to land, that's good. Like if you can
Good
get
job.
most of them to land, that's really good. If you're able to continuously get the like all 3 to land, like it's gonna die really quickly, whatever you're fighting. But things like with insect glaive and the longsword, if you're not doing those combos and you're not unlocking the tiers, you might as well switch weapons because you're like not doing the damage you're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
With the longsword, you have to hit the last hit of your thing in the combo multiple times. You fill your like spirit meter, and then you use that, and it's like a timed thing that you get so many hits right as it runs out, and then you have to land the last one of that to like unlock the next stage where you do it again, and you have to do it like 3 times, and then you get like a super awesome amount of damage.
What the hell's everyone else doing? Dan, this feels like playing StarCraft and like hearing a Zerg describe how they're playing. It's like, what game are you playing?
Yeah.
The Spirit Meter?
Yeah, it's up on the top left.
Do I have that with Insect Glaive?
No.
The insect glaive,
Okay.
what you're supposed to do, I haven't played with it. I probably am saying this a little wrong. You need to send your Kinsect out to 3 different locations on the monster. When you get all 3 colors, and then you can use those buffs, and you want to use them so that you have like all of them at the same time. So when they run out, you have to redo it, but it's easy.
It's
Once
like a
you
Chrono
learn-
Cross summon, Joe.
Like once you learn
Right.
what you're doing, right? And then again, like how you were saying, you like jump around in the air
Yeah.
endlessly. You have to hit that last one. And again, I think it like levels up the damage you're doing. But also, if you make like energy drinks or dash juice or whatever they call it
Dash
now,
juice.
then you like don't have a stamina that depletes anymore. So you can just like stay in the air forever. And just like
Why doesn't the game communicate this concept of like tiers of damage?
Have you tried the training area? It does sort of walk you through the process.
I've gone to the training area with a couple weapons, and it just gives me a flash on the screen that's like, hey, try these button combinations. And I do. But like, I don't know anything about which one of those is going to be the best one or not.
Yeah, each weapon has like your normal like bread and butter combo that you're going to do all the time, but then also like that goal combo that you want to like land in order to like improve the damage.
But to Joe's point, I mean, we haven't really addressed it. Hey, I understand this is the most approachable Monster Hunter. There's still so much that's so confusing. Every
is,
time I
yeah.
play a game, I just learn so much more. It's like, what the hell is this whole system? What's going on?
Sure.
And I feel like the game does a good job overall of like having a path for new players to follow that isn't that bad, but it keeps you on this skinny plank, right? And then if you look off in either direction, you just see the sea of menus and systems. Like, I don't know what that is. I guess I'll ignore it.
That's a really good point. That's exactly how it feels. Is that like just look at your feet and walk that narrow plank, because suddenly if you accidentally click on manage Kinsects, you're gonna get a tutorial screen that has you going like, what am I missing?
I don't know if this is completely irrelevant or if I'm an idiot for not learning this. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think honestly that you can take the approach either way, and I think it's okay. Like if you wanted to play through that game only hitting the triangle button with one of the early easy accessible weapons and never know any of the mechanics behind them, you could do that, and you could do all the encounters multiplayer, and you would not even care about Kinsects or what they are, or decorations or skills or any of that stuff. It's completely doable.
Decorations.
But like, and as soon as you want to engage with those other things, you can.
What
It's
are
not gonna-
decorations?
We'll get to, those are going to be high rank stuff, but
Okay.
they're like
Oh.
gems in Diablo, sort of.
Oh boy. Okay. Pat O'Connor from Ireland here says, "Hey, first time Monster Hunter player here. I found myself getting a fighting game vibe from the emphasis on combo mastery and positioning. I love that after 10 hours of play, I could spend some time in training mode. I learned a new weapon, and I feel like it's an entirely different game. It's wonderful that the game encourages experimentation in that regard and facilitates it via a useful training area, something other games with deliberate combat systems don't have. Also, he loves the cats. Yeah, and then someone else, let's see, this is Kyle Marshall, regrets making it, but he makes the Dark Souls comparison, Dan. What do you think of that? Is it just completely out of left field? Is it appropriate for like animation-based fighting?
I dislike the comparison because at the end of the day, they are very different games. However, and if you just want to communicate something that you mean like you have, concise combat that
Yeah.
has weight to it, and you fight big bosses, yes, both games have those. They both have deliberate combat systems, and they are about slaying big bosses.
Also, Metal Gear 1, if you're
But
interested in fighting
after
big bosses.
after that comparison, we're pretty much very different worlds. But if you just want to communicate the combat style in some fashion to someone who has no idea, you can use that as a reference point. I still would not. There's better ways to do it without using that word. You can talk about this game without talking about Dark Souls.
Don't say
It
the
is
D
possible.
word. Barbara Wallachek, who I think is written into every game club. She's amazing with Game Club. Says, I'd never played a Monster Hunter game before. My only prior experience with the series was briefly playing the demo for Monster Hunter 3 on my 3DS, and I didn't like it. Number 1 point. This game controls like ass. I guess this is one of those, it's a feature, not a bug things, but it's frustrating when my character is constantly swinging at nothing, even when it feels like she should be connecting. Rebuttal to the ass comment from Barbara. Does this game control like ass?
Watch where you are.
So you don't think it controls like ass?
No.
I think it controls exactly as. Again, we are not familiar with it as gamers today with these kind of styles. Like, you will make the move exactly every time in the position you're doing it when you hit that button. And again, it's not like another game where you have an immediate response. Like, I hit the button, my bullet flies, it's instantly done.
Yeah.
It's like there's an animation involved with every attack and style, and like you have to take that into consideration when you make your moves.
Dumb question.
I don't think working as intended means working as intended is good, though, right?
I suppose not everyone will be a fan of the weighted combat.
I have a
Certainly.
very, very simple, stupid question. Should I just be mashing my attack button as much as I am? Are you
No.
ever just kind of spamming it, or is everything supposed to be very deliberate?
It's generally very deliberate.
You want to watch what the monster does and match your actions accordingly. You can, again, like I said, I think it's super cool that you can button spam with certain weapons in this game
Yeah.
and still be a semi-efficient player in a multiplayer environment. But if you're really like trying to do Monster Hunter, you want to watch the monster's movements and make your move onto the weak point when you get the chance to.
It's definitely a game that will let you get away with a fair amount early on, but then you'll hit a wall where it's like, oh, this monster is not putting up with your bullshit. Like, if you're used to spamming just your normal shots, like with the light bow gun, for instance, and being pretty sloppy about dodging and taking some hits that you probably shouldn't have, you will hit a wall where it's like, this is like a skill check.
Where's that wall?
That wall, I think that Anjonath is pretty
Yeah.
early on there.
Huge wall for me, yeah.
Yeah, where you have to improve as a player if you're playing solo in particular, or else it will get very frustrating for you. And it's not, I don't think, the game's fault. It's just, I think it lets you, like I said, it lets you get away with a lot early on. You can develop some bad habits that you will regret if you're not playing well and pushing yourself to play efficiently.
And I got a couple points to that. If you don't want to play better or more efficiently, that's when multiplayer will take care of that problem for you.
Yeah.
And you can enjoy the entire game. It's super fun. The game is way better multiplayer, period. And another thing, if you do have play styles that are bad, you can enforce those you can enforce those later on with decorations. Like, I know I love taking damage, right? I don't like to dodge a whole lot.
What?
And so I put skill gems in that make me take tons of reduced damage when I get hit. Because I know I'm going to get hit.
You
So-
just don't like moving?
No, it's just like when I get in there, I go in. All right.
Okay, buddy.
You know,
3 out.
when I make my move, I tend to overstay my welcome.
Oh my
It's
god.
applicable in so many situations.
So
Wow.
a question I had for well, I guess for everyone, but I'm curious what the veterans have to weigh in on it too. Is like, so do you still think it's a good idea to not have any sort of like health bar or indication on how you're doing on those monsters?
Isn't there now? I thought
We
there
have
was
damage numbers
damage
now.
numbers.
the
which is
damage
new.
numbers, which it is mind-boggling.
Wait, those weren't there
Those
before?
weren't
No.
there,
That
so
sounds
you didn't
crazy.
know
You
if you
just
were
had to
ever
tell.
hitting them.
In fact, there's other visual indicators in this game they didn't have before, like the little skull on him when he's
Yeah.
limping away. Like, that tells you it's time to trap this guy when he goes to sleep. He's in
Okay.
the capture mode. He's in capture mode.
For
He's
how
gonna die.
often I'm swinging and missing, I can't imagine not having a number to tell me when I'm doing well and when I'm
Or,
not.
or
So for
even
this-
if you're attacking a weak spot, that is doing more damage.
Yes.
That is something I kind of overlooked with the first couple monsters because they're easy enough. But then I realized, like, if that number is not orange, then I am wasting my time
right.
in
It
terms
is,
of how much damage I'm doing to
it
it.
is an interesting line in the sand, Job, having the health bar. And I think we talked to the developers when we were out there in Japan about it, about like they wanted to be approachable. They wanted to put numbers in there, which some fans might not like. I think you can turn those off in the menus. But they see like putting that HP bar, that's like crossing the line because they still want players to be looking at the monster and paying attention to the actual creature, not UI.
And I guess in my mind, it's not so much that I want like an overall health bar as I want the indicators that you guys are talking about. Like I want a good sense of if I am hitting the monster in a bad spot. I want to know if I'm doing the amount of damage that I should be doing. If my weapon is like, like in a lot of games, if you try and hit a monster that's like over leveled and you see the health bar only go down a little, then you're like, oh, I need to like go back and like upgrade my gear. But without necessarily like you have to get the crap kicked out of you a couple times before you're like, is my gear not like where it should be?
What am I doing? Are you looking at the little... What's that?
I said I have a few answers, I think.
Yeah.
So, firstly, as far as the like weak spots go, like they added this, which they didn't have before. In the book tells you what the weak spots of every monster are. You used to just have to like pay attention and then remember. So,
have you seen that, Joe? Like the weird diagram where it's like a Mayan ruin or something?
No.
Okay, and it shows you like the fillet of meats that you want to aim for in the monster.
What?
It's there's a guy next to a big stack of books in the town.
Researcher guy.
Yeah,
I've talked to the research people.
He'll tell you, and it's also somewhere buried in the menu from hell, just like your start
Yeah,
menu.
it's
It's
in
in
your
there.
menu.
Joe,
if you pull up your map,
It's not the bounty guys. Okay, it's behind them. I know there's two different research like.
Oh,
things.
Jesus. All right.
Sorry, to
Okay. And then as far as like visual cues to like the damage that you're doing if you're making progress, like those are there. You just have to like look. That I think what a lot of people don't understand is that this game is very unique in that it's a lot about like ecology more than it's just like bullet sink bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole point is that you're paying attention to the cues and seeing like what's breaking up. Like maybe this sounds like too like convoluted or like elitist or something, but like that is what the game is for, is
interesting.
learning those patterns, learning, hey, I can break off this claw, spending the time to break off all the different spots, cut off the things you can cut off. Like they have like frills, the frill will get droopy, so you know that they're almost dead. Like they all have so many pieces that you can break off and so many visual cues, and they like start drooling and limping. And like if you can't tell that it's gonna die,
winking
like,
at you.
I've seen some of those, but like I guess for me, and this makes it sound like I'm really like having a bad time or complaining a lot, and like that really these are just things that I'm like trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because like I see when they like I assume when they're drooping, it's like, oh, I've been doing some decent damage, but like I don't know what I've been doing that's necessarily been doing that damage.
The numbers that are higher.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that.
But I understand, and it is like, well, okay, I hit it once, and it does, an 8 pops up, and then I hit it in a different spot, and a 20 pops up, and obviously that's better, but I don't know how much 20 is in the overall, like, is it 1,000 that I'm trying to get to?
It's always terrifying when you've been wailing on this game. So much of the game, I feel like, and I'm playing it like an idiot, I'm sure, but it's like, keep whacking this thing. All right, here I go. But after I've been whacking at this thing for like 20 minutes, then suddenly you see like a Anjonath or Rathalos fly in and do like 600 damage, and the monster's still alive. It's like, what? I have that much more to go? Good God.
I mean, there's a reason why the quests are 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can even accomplish it, like, especially for the harder ones, especially for like the G rank stuff in the old games, or like high rank, I'm sure in this, I haven't gotten that far, of course. I'm like, it's supposed to take a long time. It's supposed to be one big fight, like each monster is supposed to be like an boss,
like a 45-minute
fight.
fight.
I mean, the little ones at the beginning of the game, when you have no gear, will take that long. Once you have really good gear, you can kill it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They have probably thousands of HP. It's just
you gotta get used to
what
it.
it is.
That's the game.
I mean, it is the game. Like, if you are super overpowered, you'll kill them quickly. If you really master your weapon, you'll kill them quickly. But if you just don't know what you're doing and aren't learning, and it's not that you're doing it wrong, there's just a lot to learn.
So much.
Yeah, and I think
changing those things would kind of break what the game is. I think I do agree with what Capcom is saying in that regard.
I feel like I'm just looking for a little more feedback, a little more. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
And one thing that I have noticed, I have gotten better at kind of seeing the cues as it goes, and like, okay, he's limping now as he runs away or wherever, so I'm getting closer. But there have been several times where I'll hit him and he'll die, and that is a big surprise to me that it was like, oh, okay, now it's over. I didn't realize I was that close to it.
Yeah.
If you are doing damage in if it's a consistent damage output, you'll eventually drive the monsters through all of its stages, including going back to the nest and rest. Only if you really change your damage output in a big way will you just randomly kill them. But I guess it does happen. But you probably had some crazy burst damage. And along those lines, if you're having trouble doing damage, especially in the early game, consumables are very, very important. Do not overlook consumables. Bombs, all that kind of stuff can do absurd damage to these creatures.
I'm very confused, but good segue, Dan. So Dustin Smith from Columbus, Ohio writes in and says, are you using mini traps or tools? I feel like they might help out during hunts, but that is one of the systems in the game that I haven't really figured out. Yeah, I don't know what all that crap is.
They're super duper important.
Yeah.
Bring several along. Bring along the crafting materials to craft more of them while you are walking around on a hunt.
What are they
What are the
specifically?
good ones?
Pitfall traps, shock traps, barrel bombs, both large and small. There's poisoned meat, which I've never used. There's a lot of stuff like that.
Dan, you're a very big play your way kind of guy, but it's fair to say we're doing it wrong by not focusing on these items?
You can do whatever you want. I keep telling you that, and it'll work, and you can still have fun. I'm saying,
Okay, I turned off my PS4.
if you're having trouble,
I want to hear from Optimizer Dan and not not like everyone's welcome Dan.
Yeah,
okay.
Shift into optimizing.
So Optimizer
mode.
Dan will bring, as they said, bring
Optimize Prime.
bring the maximum amount of everything and the stuff to craft more in the field. This one's cool because you can actually restore your stuff from home, when you're out in the field from your campsite.
You used to not be able to do that.
So
It's
you've
really,
got
really
access to
handy.
everything you could possibly need. You can make all those kinds of crazy bombs. I've been with multiplayer groups now, pin the monster down. Everybody sets up bombs. We're talking 6 bombs around the guy.
Bomberman.
And then you just you pull the trigger on that thing. That's 2,000 damage just on that before the monster even wakes up. And then you start really beating on it, right? And everybody's got shock traps. You always want to go for the capture at the end. Everyone just gathers around, wait till it's asleep, put the shock trap down, and everyone just starts throwing those trank bombs. And boom, there's the cap. Really easy.
Do they explain traps and bombs at some point, in the tutorial?
There's a capture quest.
Yes, I must. Okay,
They
I
will-
think
Capture
that's my
quest, it
next
starts
quest.
to sink in that you should be doing that stuff.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, but Jeremy Bull writes in from East Lansing here. He says, first off, I'd like to say thank you for bringing back Game Club. And secondly, I'd like to thank you for choosing what could very possibly be my game of the year for 2018. I just wanted to say that capturing is way more satisfying than killing. Oh, should I be focusing on this? What is capturing?
You get more for capturing in most cases. You get more knowledge. I'm not sure exactly what the ratio is, but you get more materials for capturing.
And it's easier because all you have to do is find the sweet spot between when you've done enough damage to capture it and then so when they go back to the nest and heal, then they get super duper aggressive. It's their last hurrah trying to stay alive. So you don't have to do that fight if you capture
that last
it.
20%, you don't need to pretty much cut them up.
Wait,
at all.
it's just
So
Pokemon.
so is there ever an incentive to kill instead of capture?
certain objects come from carves and pieces only, and again they'll be on that Mayan diagram that
Okay.
we'll have to show you. But so if you're looking for that really specific carve piece or something, you might choose the kill instead.
But you guys just default capture everything.
Capture is the default.
Once you get really overpowered, you'll accidentally kill the monsters more often than you will be struggling to kill a monster.
Okay, this is very Pokemon. And so I should do. I'm very stupid. Is it the net? Is it the
They've
little
made
net?
it really easy to do the cap. All you need is a shock trap and
Or a
trank
pitfall
bombs.
trap. Or you might even be able. Can you use the environmental traps now? I haven't.
I have not
yet.
tried to cap with environments.
Well, okay. So I've had it. I've played with friends that have laid down traps, and then it's getting
That's
fried.
a shock trap.
Okay, what's step 2 for capturing it?
To throw tranquilizer bombs at it.
Throw tranquilizers.
At its head specifically.
And then once it falls asleep, it'll just say capture.
It's instant. It should happen within seconds of the trap going down.
Yeah, you have to hit it 3 times, I think, historically. 3 trank bombs.
Okay, so trank bombs to capture. Jeff, can we zoom out a little bit? How are you feeling about this game?
I'm enjoying it, and I definitely there's still a lot that I don't understand. But at this point, I want to, and I want to learn more, and I want to play more. I think I have a good understanding of the core loop and the progression that comes after, doing the hunts and stuff, and all of that is super interesting to me, and I want to try all of the different weapons and stuff. So
It brings back an earlier point, actually, the Dark Souls comparison.
Yeah.
I would say one thing that is alike in both games is that they both have a point where they click for the player or the user, that it's like, I really like this now. Now I'm getting it. Like, there's always that point where it can be it can be a tough road to go on.
Mm-hmm.
But once you hit that point, you're in, right? You're in.
And I'm kind of confused about what it is about the game, even after 16 hours or so, like what it is that is clicking. Because I like it as well, but there are times, especially going up against that Anjonath, where I'd spend an entire evening and not get anything done. And it's like, if I'm in it for just seeing numbers go up, I could have reached level 3,000 in Diablo 3 by now. Like, what is it that's satisfying about these long-form fights where numbers barely go up after you've grinded them night after night after night?
This
I'd
is
say
how
Go ahead.
This is how I usually explain that, is that you don't level up and make a better armor and then you're like stronger or better. It's like a get good situation. Like, you don't actually level up. You just learn what that monster does and how to dodge it and when to dodge it. So, like, that's, I think, where it's satisfying, is once you're like, oh, if I dodge now and then hit it here, and then it becomes super easy. Like, the first time I think that you like go out and like don't get hit a single time by that monster and kill it quickly, that I think is for people when they're like, oh, and to do that, I think that this game I have a few complaints about this game, even though it's super great. Like, you need to do the same fight multiple times. The way that this game is setting up the low rank stuff is sort of like, hey, kill this monster. Oh, this other monster showed up while you were killing that monster. Go kill that monster. Oh, another monster showed up. And if you only do those sequentially, it's going to be really hard and you're not going to really figure out the game. Like,
So do the optional quest.
You're going to want to do those. And like, especially, I think going after like making one armor set of low rank, whatever you pick,
Focus on that early.
just do one, and then you'll sort of, as you're doing that, both you'll have an armor where you like won't die instantly once you get to Anjonath if he hits you, and also you usually have to do probably kill it like 5 times to make a full set.
Now, see, that is
something
something I think that they've actually done a great job changing in this one with the investigation system, which is just like you're killing the monster, but the quest has different elements and modifiers, but you get more stuff at the end of it. So when I want a set of X type, I'm like, well, I need to kill this stupid monster. I'll take an investigation, and then I'll get all those rare materials and all that junk I need from their quest rewards. So I only need to kill it 3 times, maybe 4 times.
Yeah,
It
I think I had enough stuff to make the full set of like great Jagras stuff or whatever after 3 like ventures into that.
Well, I
Do
worry
you feel
about
like you learned how to fight Great Jagras? That's my point.
That one, not particularly, just because like I feel like that monster doesn't have a whole lot of wrinkles
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
pretty easy.
I mean, I felt like I knew how to fight Great Jagras the first time I fought.
he
Great
swallows
Jagras.
crap and
I'd
then
say
runs
that's
away.
fair.
Yeah.
You could be, yeah.
But I love hearing fans describe the appeal of this. Like Laleh, I think you had a great description of it, because like I want to get there. I want to play that game, the one that is like very observation based, very deliberate, and and
But after 10 hours, you don't think you feel it yet with this one?
and some of this, like a lot of this is on me. Like this, I am trying not to like foist a lot of this on the game. I think the game's biggest problems are just in like communication and interface.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think one of the trickiest things is also one of the game's strengths is that you could play for 10 hours, and if you have picked randomly one of the 14 weapons because you thought it looked cool based on either experimenting with it in the training area or watching the video, if you've picked a weapon that is just not clicking with you and you think that you have to keep going with that, you're making a mistake. Like, I would recommend switching it up often in that early stages, because every weapon is so different from the others. Like,
They're all
I messed
totally
around with
different
that
game, yeah.
with the hammer, and like it's super fun in a different way. It feels like a vastly different experience. So I think for some players that are just like, I'm just not feeling this dual swords, change to a different weapon, because I think that's the easiest way to see a completely different experience.
Can you guys help me, Laleh? You talk about like grinding it out and getting an armor set early on. I don't want to do that because I don't like listening to your advice. No, I don't want to do that because it's like I fought Pookie plenty, but I just feel like he's a turd monster. I don't want armor from a turd monster. You know what I mean? I'd rather have the scatter shot with some things with higher stats. But is it not as bad as I think to just go for that lower monster armor and then upgrade the bejesus out of it?
You're gonna want to make like multiple armor sets as you're playing through the game, but you need to make one armor set. You won't be able to get to high rank, I don't think, without making one full armor set.
Like a complete unified thing.
Just a head, a chest, an arms.
I have
like whatever
a scatter shot of crap that
That's
I'm wearing.
fine. I mean, you're missing out on perks, but like it's
it seems
some
like
defense.
the Bareth stuff seems like it's got a pretty like I don't know. I got that recently. That seems like it's a good like base level defense stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
So early on, you really don't have to worry about that. Like you can mix and match all you want. Just make sure you keep everything upgraded with your armor orbs, and watch the colors. Like basically, the higher tier, like defaulting, the higher tier the armor is, the better. So just keep looking for it from from white to green to whatever the next, like a Diablo color coded system of rarity, and then just upgrade the crap out of them with your armor orbs that you're getting from doing quests and bounties. You don't have to really worry about set bonuses until about the end of low tier.
Okay.
And that's going to become a factor then. And that's going to be a big factor going forward for the rest of the game, where if you have 3 to 5 pieces of a set, you'll get those bonuses and you want to trigger those.
So what, like, I mentioned the Bareth stuff, but like what is the good armor early on? Like what should Hanson's first complete set
please.
be?
Whatever doesn't really.
Name a set.
Literally, as long as you're upgrading it,
them.
as long as you're keeping it fully upgraded, it doesn't
Jeff
matter.
Cork, what set?
Bone set is a super easy one to get, and I had good luck with it. It's got nice fire resistance. It's good against dragons.
Where's the bone stuff?
Forage
Super
for the
early.
bone piles.
Yeah.
You can get it very early on too, and I used it all throughout the low quest, and did not feel like, oh boy, I'm not ready for stuff.
That's helpful. Okay.
Also, something I did, you wade through the menus, you can find a way to hide your head armor.
Oh, interesting.
Because my biggest complaint, like I actually like the loop of the like kill monster, get stuff, craft armor. I'm enjoying that. But all of the armor makes me look like a clown. I hate the Jagras armor.
Like bananas everywhere?
Yeah, no, you just look ridiculous. And maybe like later
Some
monsters
of them are
give
cooler than
cooler
others.
ones.
You don't get to look badass until they have that whole like thing going on.
But
like,
some cool
that is
stuff.
the
Like the
main-
Anjonath, I think looks cool.
That is the main thing preventing me from like really going all in on a set of armor right now. Is it's just like they all look so dumb. So I put the one on that I seemed like the best stats and hit it, so I don't have to look at my dumb head.
I've always been pretty conservative about making armor sets. I usually like I feel like I'm good enough at the game that it's less critical for me.
Okay.
So I usually make the ones that it's like, okay, this is good enough to at least keep me from being one hit to get me to high rank. And then when I'm in high rank, there's like, maybe I'll make like 3 armor sets. Like I'm not even joking. Like I just do the 3 that I want. The one that I've always made in the past, I don't know if it exists anymore, so I can't really talk about it. But if you use any healing item, it heals your whole party as long as they're in the same zone.
Oh.
And because I'm a very cautious player and I heal a lot and I kind of hang back, that's the one that I've always done because it makes me more helpful support when I do multiplayer, which is really all I do. I just help my friends. So
right.
that makes sense.
And
for me
complain
to-
about how scared you are in the headset from my experience with playing with you.
Well, that was I'm embarrassed.
Toby, Kadachi.
But like, I know that Dan Tack has been griping a lot about Kushala Daora, who is a tricky fight.
Well, I mean,
in the older
I had
games.
about 1,000 YouTube comments telling me how to beat him after I
Yeah.
complained about it. So I know how to beat him now. Don't worry about it.
How do you beat him?
You got to poison him to get rid of his
and then,
windshield.
yeah, and then you break
Step
his
one, be a
horns.
YouTuber.
Or you could just craft the armor set that gives you wind resist so that it doesn't affect you at all.
It's okay. We're way beyond that dragon now. Okay, so
But just like that's what I use the armor sets for. Is more like for like getting those specific perks that I know that I want to avoid the annoying things that I don't like.
Yeah.
So that when I'm helping my friends, I don't have to help them kill 15 Kushala Daoras struggling the whole time.
I don't even want to say that name 3 times. But talking about playing with friends, there were a lot of emails. Drew Sherman.
boy.
Shut up. Drew Sherman, Caleb from Ohio, Chris from Los Angeles, Matt McKenna. A lot of people are just, here we go. Chris from Los Angeles just says, hey, could you guys explain plainly and clearly how to play with your friends in Monster Hunter? Getting started with friends last night was more trouble than it should have been. We scoured the internet with no real instructions. It sucks.
It's super confusing.
What the hell is going on? How could they blow this core component? Like, just trying to figure out, okay, I'm in a squad, but I'm in a different online session. And even if you manage to figure out that tangled web, then you can run into the problem that Caleb from Ohio ran into, which is, why on earth do I have to watch a cutscene first before my squad can join up and tackle this monster?
That is an issue when going through the story. Absolutely, it will. I will say that it does get much better, and it has no effect on investigations or optional quests or stuff like that. So, but yeah, for the story stuff, that cutscene decision is random and weird. But
it's super frustrating. Like if you haven't run into it, it's like if your friend, you want to help your friend out, and you're doing a mission that you've already completed, it won't let you join their session until that cutscene is completed, and you don't get any indication of when that's going to happen. So you're basically just hitting, join.
What?
Hold on, join.
Have you not played
Hold
co-op
on.
yet, Joe?
No.
Oh, yeah, it's a nightmare.
I've been solo the whole time so far.
No, that's your first mistake, Joe.
Well, yeah, that's what you tell me. But who else is playing Monster Hunter at 6 a.m.?
I am.
I mean, brew me some coffee.
So where's our Game Informer guild or whatever?
This is one
Nobody
important
knows how to
thing.
set I don't know what
that is.
See? Okay.
I'm like no expert at all. This is all that I think I figured out. Okay. So how the online session works is that it like populates you into an online session automatically so that when you're out on quest, you can send an SOS Flare. And I think those are the people that can
And
join.
how big is that pool of...
It's only
It's
16,
like 16, right?
So
With an
hang
online
on.
session. Okay.
So the SOS Flare is not game specific unless you set it to be. The SOS Flare is like anyone.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
like
it's not
anybody
online
playing.
session based.
That's all I do is I just go into SOS games all day. It has nothing to do with the session you're in. Each session holds up to 16 players that can have 4 players in any given quest.
So if I want to team up with my coworkers, first we need to get in the same online
The
session.
easy way to do
No,
that.
no, you don't have to.
Okay.
Actually, that's
Okay.
true.
Well,
don't. But it would be easiest to
That's
do it
the
that
easy
way.
way to do it.
How should you do it?
We should make a squad called GI or whatever.
I have a game club squad. I
That's
don't know
just
what to
like
do
you
with
didn't
it.
invite
Okay, it's
anyone,
literally
right?
Laleh.
I have an important
And
thing that
then
I learned.
when you load in, you just say go to the squad game, and you're in the squad.
When you're in a squad, you can set which one is your active squad. And if you have one set as your active squad, like in the outer PS menu, where you can just like look at your friends list and then be like join session,
Sure.
it only shows you the people that are in your squad, which I found was really confusing. So unless I have some weird menu thing going on in my...
In general, a game where
It's weird.
everybody
That was
stresses
weird.
co-op is key, they blew it, right? This effing sucks.
I mean, I think about the cutscene thing. The rest of it, I don't have a problem with. It's
Really?
Once
easy.
you like figure it out once and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. But it was harder for me to figure out than I think it should have been. I don't really understand
Dan,
why.
can you help me out even with like...
Sure.
I like playing solo, but I'm very bad at it, and so I
Okay.
constantly fire off the SOS Flare. Like the second I'm in
Okay.
that expedition camp, it's just firing left and right into the air.
So I
But-
believe
but-
you can change your settings. You make sure that it's on like a global. SOS
It is,
Flare.
but
Okay.
here's the frustrating part: where there's a timer for the quest that's ticking down.
10 minutes.
Wait, I'm just talking about like the overall quest. I
5
would say
minutes.
like 50 minutes for taking down Anjonath or whatever, and I'll run around in circles for 10 minutes.
Okay.
It's like no one's coming to my SOS Flare. I don't know how much longer I can dick around.
That's the weird. The weird part is it should be almost instant. Like I
Really?
don't understand what. I guess again, I'm not completely up on this, but like when I get into an SOS game, it's within the first 2 minutes and it's a full group. So
There's
I
times where it is, but there's so many times too where I fire it up and then just no one comes. And it's that frustrating thing of like, all right, I guess I'll go solo because I don't want to waste this time because I know this fight's going to take forever. It's just frustrating to...
Everyone looks and they say, "Oh, it's Hanson again. Forget it."
Do they say
Cancel
that?
that,
Did you hear
yeah.
them say that?
We've all been saying
Well, I think
it.
if you're in the gathering hub, you can set it so that it's just like matchmaking for you. Can't you?
For a
Just, like,
full
send
squad?
you out
Oh,
with a
interesting.
squad?
So I can go and I don't have to dick around waiting for the SOS recipients?
Wait,
no.
No, did I lie?
what's the gathering hub?
Oh, Joe.
You gotta
There's-
ride the like elevator
That
up
is-
to the gathering.
That is to
hub.
enjoy the same. That's like it's you don't ever have to engage with it to engage with any multiplayer. It's
Okay.
just
Really?
Because
So
I've
if you-
been there once and
if
was
you-
like, I don't know what this is. Something about arenas. I'm going back down.
all 16 people in the game can go up there, and it has all the same facilities as downstairs. It's the multiplayer hub for a game.
So even if you're playing co-op, you won't run around the town with other people.
Right.
You don't see them unless you're on a quest or in the gathering hub where you can like
Mm-hmm.
arm wrestle with them and stuff.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, which is helpful, I guess.
In that case, I may actually, because like I always just start games where it's like private session, just me, no one else.
Right.
Who cares?
Who cares?
But okay.
Let's see. Willie Plum also writes in and says, which low-tier monster is everyone's favorite? Mine is definitely Tobi Kadachi, the electric lizard flying squirrel thinger. I think he's my favorite so far too. Anjonath, I just want to stab in the eyeball, but Tobi-Kadachi I think is objectively cool and
Yeah.
not that much of a pain in the ass to fight.
He's new and cool, and I was scared.
Very frightened.
He looks
yeah.
like that jerk that Steve Buscemi voices in Monsters Inc.
Bleh.
That's what he reminds me of.
What? Randall?
Yeah, it reminds me of Randall.
Flying squirrel with electricity
I don't
flying
know
out
why.
of it.
He just has a Randall vibe.
Well, I guess he is voiced by Steve Buscemi. I guess
That's
that
true.
makes sense. Do you guys have favorites so far for the low rank?
Pookie. He's got
Pookie
that
Pookie
farty
reminds
tail.
me of
It's so gross.
the very mixed up chameleon. Maybe as a fellow parent, you'll appreciate that one. So that's the
Pookie
one that
Pookie
I've done
man.
the most.
Yeah, plus his tail, again, fills up with purple farts and he farts it at you.
I like the
He's
design,
Super cute.
but
yeah.
any poisoning creature in any game
Oh,
is
yeah.
just automatically a crap bird in my mind.
That was my first death
Oh,
in
really?
that game.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. He poisoned me and I then hit me. I felt real gypped actually. But whatever.
Jeff, anything that stands out for you so far?
I think Kobo Tadachi, whatever, flying electric squirrel guy.
He
He's
is,
pretty
I
cool,
think,
yeah.
the coolest, and it's a new one. So, like, I think that's. I only fought him the one time with you, and I don't think either of us knew what we were doing. So, so it was a little scary and frustrating. But I'm excited to now that I like have armor, like go fight him some more and figure him out.
He's cool too
yeah.
when you fight him and then you have to run away because you have to heal or whatever, and then you're looking around. It's like, where is he? And all of a sudden he's flying in from behind you somewhere.
The first time I saw him do that, I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I really love fighting Paolumu too in the Coral Highlands, just because he's flying so much, and with the insect glaive, already spending so much time in the air, spending that time in the air while he's in the air and like trying to ride him, it's like
That sounds fun.
just for another Pixar reference. It feels like when they're riding the manta ray and like Finding Dory, just like riding this flying thing as I'm flying on top of it is so cool.
He has one of the best intro videos too, where he just seems like this super chill bat, and then you're like, I'm gonna get you, and he's like, rah.
Yeah,
I'm really excited. I've been so
God, it's like I'm
looking
there.
forward to that one, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
okay.
But he's like so cute.
The Coral Highlands are awesome.
I want to
They
like
are.
have that monster like as my real life pet.
You can do it if you want it hard enough.
Hey, speaking of pets, I have a question about this game. As someone who generally prefers to play solo,
Mm-hmm.
is it possible to have like a party of palicos helping you out, or is it basically just like you and your buddy?
I think in
Yeah,
this one's just one.
You should check out the tips for soloing on GameInformer.com because it describes how to do this. But yes, so in each mission you can have up to 4 you and 3 other characters.
Mm-hmm.
So you take your palico, right?
Yeah.
You've got to do the expedition quest in that area to unlock that palico tribe. All right. So once you've done that, you can recruit another palico when you're out in the field. You can't have it like at your home base.
Oh, okay.
So that's to be
temporary
wild.
palico
Because like,
quest.
so that's
And
happened to
then-
me a couple of times, and then there's like the
Then-
monsters that you can get.
that have
Yeah.
completed that quest chain will also let you get a monster. So it's a pretty decent deep squad for a solo player.
Okay, because like, what bothers me about it is like I kind of wish that there were a way to like I wish you could have like palicos that are just sort of party member stand-ins, right? That I wouldn't have to go and like go out in the field and like dig up one of those tail riders or whatever.
Yeah.
they call
Yeah.
them. Like if I
Just a
could
full group.
just say like, hey, I want to bring my trap palico along on this one.
It would be a nice quality of life improvement because at a certain point you're like, all I'm doing is looking for an icon on the map, teleporting
Yeah.
to that camp, walking up to it. There's no friction there aside from wasting 2 minutes of walking. So it's not difficult to do that. It would just be nice if you could be like at your camp, hey, come with me.
Yeah, exactly. Or even have like a squad that like they don't even need to be at your camp. Just have them be like in your room or whatever. And you can be like,
Yeah.
okay, here's my buddies, and I'm taking you two and my normal guy. And we're
Joe, I
gonna
think
go.
what you're looking for is just the SOS stuff. Like playing with just it basically
No,
is
those
just
are
a
other
party.
people. I don't
But you don't
want-
have to talk to them. It's
Isn't that-
fine. You could pretend they're AI. That's basically what you're looking for.
AI
here.
that are sending you emojis like, you idiot.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah.
it.
And with
So
crazy
you
Japanese
can,
names. Yeah.
So this is what I recommend. Like you can complete all your quests with other people. Just go look for an SOS flare and just do quests with other people. It's like
But
it's
will that
instant.
register as a completed quest for me?
As long as the mission hasn't gone on it'll tell you. It'll be like this mission has gone on too long. You won't get the quest rewards.
So I can skip
Otherwise, yes.
story quest? I can jump ahead?
I think it will only let you look at quests that you've done up to or the one that you're on.
Oh, really? I didn't know you could do the one that you're on. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
So certainly. There's no way I could have done the last quest I was on solo. Not easily.
Okay.
And people aren't going to be mad if I'm not on like voice chat or whatever.
No, they don't care. I have not used voice chat at all.
Okay.
I mean, you guys are have like of a fairly singular mindset where it's like, there's the monster. Let's go get him. And like you might run into a problem like if a person is determined to trap it, but at that point they should communicate using some of the like built-in text stuff like let's set a trap.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I
feel
think-
free to wail on it until it's dead.
And while you're in the menus looking for the "Let's set a trap" emote, the monster has been murdered.
Does it automatically say it now if you lay a trap?
I think it does.
It pings. It pings. I think automatically, and it's everybody knows like when the thing is sleeping anyway, which is when you're going to set the trap. Nobody just walks up to it and hits it. You wait for all 4 guys to get there.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think everybody knows that, Dan Tag.
Not everyone at this table.
thing constantly.
Yeah.
The first hit that you land when it's asleep does a lot more damage than normal. So you want to have everyone charge up and like simultaneously unleash or trap it.
Okay, gotcha. Just the UI for communicating, I think it's fun. You can like customize those sayings and stuff. Good opportunity for jokes there with your friends. But just that radial dial
It's
for
weird.
menus, that was a game changer when I realized that like not only do I not have to hold down L1 to switch between my potions and crap, I can just hit left and right on the D-pad. That's very helpful. But then also realizing that okay, if I just set that radial dial, I can just in theory hold on L1 and quickly do it. But I still feel like it's inconsistent when it's triggering those potions. What am I doing wrong with the analog stick flick to not let those potions go? Is that how you guys are healing? Is just radial dial L1?
I can't use that for anything really. It's
Why?
not. It's just like not in my like. I haven't figured it out. My
Not
hands
in-
don't like.
It's
will
not
do
in
it.
your hands yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's like so like a muscle memory thing for me to scroll through the old way.
Okay.
And like I have been playing long enough to know what item I'm probably going to need, and I just have that there.
Gotcha. Dan, how are you healing?
Compared to 3DS, man, like this is, it feels like, you know, they took the ball and chain from around my leg and the shackles off my hand. Like,
But you're still in a prison, so how do you do it?
No, I'm not though.
I
It
see.
feels like I'm not. It's so much. It's just insanely better. And gosh, I hope the series continues to stay on the core console
So how are you healing?
by scrolling through.
Okay, you scroll through.
Just because of force of habit. Like that's
okay,
just
so
the way that I'm-
flicking.
Yeah, I
might
don't
be
use
the-
a radial.
You
menu
don't?
either,
I use the
no.
It's
radial
great
for
when
the
it
SOS
works.
thing and like the gestures, but not for the items.
You should check it out, Court, because
Yeah?
it's something about how you have to flick first and not let go of L1 until you flick, and then it works. When it works, it's super quick and amazing. It's just inconsistent with my flick. Anyways, we got Ronald from Nebraska, and he's wondering, he's like, hey, I've never played a Monster Hunter before, but I can say that my 30 hours spent with it have been golden. My biggest fail came with Diablos, as I failed that quest 5 times before
Sure.
getting it. What monsters gave you a hard time? I currently have a beef set out on that Diablos.
Stuff like Diablos certainly was something to adapt to with a heavy bowgun because you certainly can't reload when he goes underground because you're going to get hit and killed.
Oh,
so
he goes underground. I haven't seen
Yeah,
this
he
yet.
And, like,
tunnels.
shoots up.
Oh,
where you're
Tremor
standing.
style. Okay.
yeah, he's a nasty customer. It
He,
really,
he has the coolest intro video though, by far.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is
I
it?
don't want to. Well, are we talking? Is it? He's still a low level quest, right?
Is he? I think he might.
All right, let's
I
save
haven't
it then.
seen him yet.
Okay, it's awesome.
All right, that's exciting. For me, it's Anjonath. I just think that dirty SOB. I hate his fire breathing. It just destroys me. Like basically one hit with that fire breath and I'm out. And he does like the weird puffs where there's like a little bit of fire leaking around the sides and I'm always terrified of it, but it's never the full blast. And also it's just a dick move because I'm flying above him with my insect glaive. And for so many of the monsters early on, it's not an issue to like launch over him, slice it up and keep going. But I swear I will have clearance over this SOB Anjonath, but it'll still damage me as he's charging. Help me, Dan.
So something to think about that just came up as you were describing that is like a really weird way to think about fighting monsters in this game. It's sort of like compare it to like Punch Out. They have a window
Interesting.
when they're doing a move that if you do a move, they just knock them right down. And like a lot of even the really powerful monsters of the game will have a telegraphed attack that if you can hit them while they're warming up for it, you will knock them down and open up a huge attack window. Even when everything is telling you, I have to get away right now because he's going to unleash this thing. Once you get that timing down, you'll learn how to take down Glass Joe.
Interesting. Jeff, have you had a tough time with some of these monsters?
Bareth was the first one just
Yeah.
because he was so tanky, and like I said, I was trying to use the insect glaive without understanding it. And I think I ended up failing that one. I think I ran out of time on that one.
Oh, wow.
But then I came back with the hammer and everything was fine.
He's-
Beat his face in.
He was real slow for me with blades because I like they don't do much damage, and I was like deflecting off of him.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the time.
and I was whetstoning it too, and it was still like, yeah.
As you get better weapons, they'll get sharper.
Okay.
So
And they'll stay sharper for longer.
I see.
Ryan from Minneapolis is wondering if there's a bigger jerk in the game than Anjonath. I haven't gotten further, but I'm going to go with absolutely not Ryan. That's probably the hardest,
There
most sticky
definitely
monster.
is.
So much worse.
Really?
Oh,
so I'm
God,
going to look
yeah.
back at Anjonath and laugh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Impossible.
You're going to want to
will.
marry Anjonath.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
My little sweetheart in comparison.
Yeah.
Oh, is this going to be rough, Dan?
Holy monster movie.
Anjonath will seem like, you know, an enjoyable evening in a hot tub with a glass of wine.
Oh, I don't want it. Both Wes Bates and Lucas Ledoux wrote in just really admiring the ecosystem of the game and having the monsters interact in all the crazy ways where one monster will help you out or just one monster will come up and the other monster will run away, yada, yada, yada. Dan, you seemed less in love with that.
It can get really. You talk about frustration. Yeah, when you're really trying to get that one monster down, and it's a very difficult monster, and then two more incredibly difficult monsters show up, and you can't be anywhere near like that. You just want to be as far away from that as possible.
Is that what you do strategically? You just go hide behind a tree for a little
It
while?
really depends on the situation. But yeah, in some situations you may have to. Like if late game monsters start going at it, like if you're anywhere within the blast radius of several of their abilities, like you'll just explode. So you don't want to be there.
Okay.
But at other times, it's really great to take advantage of this. Like, just let's say one monster shows up and they start going at it. You know, let them fight a little bit, let them soften each other up, and then plan your next move.
Man, okay.
Hey,
It's cool. I just wish it wasn't like all the time.
It is a lot.
It's
Yeah.
one thing. It's fascinating to me about like how watching the monsters. Some are really territorial, right, and very aggressive, and others will be just like they'll see another monster and be like, "I want to get out of here." Others, like Rathalos, will be like, "Oh, you're up in my nest? All right, well that's it. You're going down. I don't care. I'll chase you all over the map. You're good. You're dead."
Yeah.
You know?
And every monster seems to love that Rathalos nest. They always just scurry right out there to hang out.
They love
Is it
that
that
place.
cool up there?
It's really great up there, isn't it?
on the ecosystem front, in previous Monster Hunters, did they have the expedition option, just the way to like be out in the world without necessarily like a goal or a quest?
Destiny patrols.
Some of them.
They were mainly fueled by like quests that would make you go collect the junk that you'd be doing in an expedition. Like you just take a quest to go get 10 berries
Yeah.
or something dumb like that.
Okay. Because like I've spent a little bit of time just doing like expedition, like killing a monster and then sort of being like, hey, I need like to gather one more mushroom to finish this bounty. And so like I'll spend like 20 minutes just sort of like doing some rounds, knocking some of those things out. Like I guess it's not specifically the ecosystem, but it's about like the world and exploring it. And
Yeah.
like, I've been enjoying
That's
that
cool.
part.
The
Yeah.
fun thing about the expeditions too, excuse me,
Don't
is
cry.
that it's just kind of like a rotating cast of random monsters that'll pop in.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're on a quest, you'll know, okay, it's always going to be a Barroth here. He's always going to be accompanied by this monster and this monster. Their paths may cross. But in an expedition, it's like drawing from a random pool of monsters you've encountered. So you're like, okay, here's Barroth. Oh, whoa, what are you doing here? And someone will swoop in you're like completely not expecting, which is like a fun surprise to see these things from different ecosystems kind of interacting occasionally.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would absolutely say, if the time limit is intimidating to you, the expedition has no time limit. So if you just want to chill with your friends and hang out and see what monsters come in and leave the environment,
Yeah.
that's the chill mode.
And you don't get quest rewards for that.
Right.
But if you kill a monster, you can still carve up the monster.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
all still counts. You'll still get
Okay.
research points
Right.
and all that stuff.
So you're not like on a 50-minute timeline, but you get like a notification. It'll be like, hey, Barrett's about to leave the area.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, that's kind of a keep moving.
Yeah, and this loosely ties into that just with the items and stuff. Christian from Modesto, California says, Monster Hunter World is my first Monster Hunter game, and I've decided to really dig into it. So far, I've been having a blast. It seems to be the consensus outside of Barbara, as everyone's like, oh, this is really fun. My question for more veteran players, should I
No.
sell off stuff I collect for monsters or items I pick up that I don't need?
Gold is not an issue later on. So unless you're having trouble with crafting an item, just keep everything just in case you want to make something later.
Well, I was having a tough time with inventory management, but it turns out I can just shove all my crap in
Yeah.
some box.
Put all your stuff in the box at home.
I did not realize I could do that.
Laleh,
Oh
do
my
you
God.
sell stuff?
What are we gonna do with you?
I didn't know that there was this box that I could store everything in.
It shouldn't be an issue anymore. I think they allow you to have a lot of stuff
You can
in your
stack
item box at home.
infinitely. Like I have like 700 toadstools or something in my. You can just keep stacking.
Yeah, like in the old game, I would run out of inventory space after several thousand hours of doing the same quests
No.
over and over again. But like,
That was Capcom's way of sending you a message, I think,
But-
ultimately.
Laleh, you were nodding when Dan was talking. Do you not sell your stuff?
I never
either?
sell a single thing.
Oh, okay.
And like, you will have so much money. Your money will just be like maxed out before. Yeah.
I love that it's Zenny, by the way. I love that we're Capcom.
What's the point of having money and research point? Like, why have two currencies
Yeah, what
to
is
spend
that?
on?
And then also vouchers. What the hell's going on?
So vouchers is just a free meal. Okay, that's all it is. All right, it's not a big deal. It's sort of kept grandfathered in it probably because there's really no point to it, right? I get it. It's just like a bonus you get sometimes.
I mean, the meals are like $100. There's hardly
Well, the
anything.
voucher also it feeds everyone in your party.
Yes.
So that's the bonus there.
Okay.
Thanks, Cork.
You're welcome.
And so the research points will become more useful as you move through the game. They seem kind of stupid now, I agree, but they give you sinks to use them on as you wish later on in the
Sinks?
game. The resource point sinks, basically stuff to spend them on.
So I should be, even if I know where the monster is, looking at every footprint, doing all that crap.
No, you don't have to do that.
Oh,
I'm just saying you're going to get more research points, but you're going to have more stuff to do with them.
okay. Gotcha. Here's a question for Jeff Cork from Casey from New Hampshire. New Hampshire? He says, which is a What About Bob
and it
reference.
does say, especially for Jeff Cork.
That's true. I was wondering if you all, especially Jeff Cork and the rest of the community, think this is a good game to play while listening to podcasts, or if, while grindy, the game is too combat intensive to be able to focus on both. I'm currently looking for a new game to play while I catch up on my weekly podcast, and I'm hoping this game could serve me well.
Oh, this is a podcast game. We got here,
is
son.
Peak podcast game.
This is peak podcast game. Yeah.
If I ever ignore an invite from any of you guys on PS4, it's only because I just want to play with rando freaks and listen to podcasts, because that is a sweet spot.
It
with
is a
this thing.
perfect game for podcasts because, like, I think the audio design is very good, but I think the visuals do 99% of the heavy lifting. So it's not like, in my experience at least, I could be wrong, I have not encountered a monster that gives like a subtle trill that I need to pay attention to in order to do a special attack. Like, that's where the window is. It's just all visual. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
the music is good. The wildlife sounds are great too, but yeah, podcast that up.
I think the audio cue for knowing when to attack for some of the later monsters is just an entire episode of Comedy Bang Bang. Is that the subtle cue?
Yes.
Okay, jokes.
You need to listen to more comedy.
Take notes, buddy.
That's it for emails. Is there a standout moment
Is that it?
that anybody wants to talk about here? Something we haven't touched on yet that's killing you, burning you up inside? Yes,
I
Laleh
have
with
a
her hand up.
love-hate. I have a love-hate. So with the new Ancient Forest map,
Yeah.
it's very large and intertwined and has 3 levels, and the map is confusing.
Yes. Just the
And-
tree part in particular.
Okay,
Yes?
it's a lot all at once right away. That's a big, confusing map. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Even I was like, where the am I? Like, what's happening? Where are the monsters? For the first few quests in particular.
Well, because you're coming from the 3DS realm, when you're explaining it, that's just like basically a wide open field with a grass texture on the ground, and now it's like this intertwining.
Mhm.
It used to have a little bit, but not like how it is now. There used to be like a couple entry and exit points that were really easy to find from zone to zone. And like there would be the same connections, like, oh, you're jumping off this cliff into this lower part.
Now loading.
Right, now
Yeah,
loading.
yeah.
Right. But like now, like there are so many times where I accidentally jump down from the high tier to the low tier.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how to get back up. In the old ones, you just like turn around and climb back up.
Yeah.
And I've just like gotten really confused. And it's probably just because I haven't played very much in the map. But what they did in the previous games would be like for the first few quests in that zone, like you can only access this part. And then like in the next, like I'm talking about the very beginning tutorial quests.
Yeah.
Then they open up the next 2 zones just so you can understand how to like get from here to here.
Like meaning like the numbered areas for
Yeah.
Monster Hunter World. Okay.
So like that was a little confusing and embarrassing for me the first, 10 hours.
I think
Right.
that map is especially tricky because like I like the scout flies generally speaking. I think it's like a handy like waypoint kind of beacon, like, hey, get over here, stupid. But in that map in particular, when you're navigating like the high and low tiers, those scout flies lose their minds and they do not know what to do. Like
Yeah.
if something is directly above you,
Oh.
it may as well just like form the shape of a question
Yeah.
mark and scatter because it is, yeah.
My favorite thing that I've noticed so far, and this is like a tiny little thing, is the omen flies. I don't know if anyone even knows what I'm talking about. They're like
yeah.
little dragonfly, mayfly things. They're usually white that are hanging out. And I caught one with the little like slingshot gun.
Yeah, yeah.
You can put it in your house.
They're so cute. I noticed that they're normally white, but if a monster has passed them, they turn red, which I thought was like a super cool, like totally makes sense.
Just to help you
a
track it?
Monster Hunter touch that like that stuff has always been in the game,
Yeah.
but like I think a lot of people don't notice it.
Right.
But it's such a cool thing, like especially on the Toby Kadachi or Pookie Pookie, where we're like just wandering around trying to even find the starting.
We were looking for
point
that
to track-
Pookie for so long.
Oh my god! If there are scout flies and it like a certain amount of time passes, you'd think they'd be like, "Look, idiot,
Yeah.
go this way." Like we found 2 other monsters and couldn't find them when we were supposed to be hunting for like 45 minutes.
It was just constant Anjonath. Every nook and cranny, every hallway you look down, there's
Hey,
another Anjonath.
Great
crawling.
Jagras skid mark over here.
right. But no, I thought the omen flies were such a cute and like natural like Monster Hunter thing that I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's still like the same people, the same like spirit, I think.
Are you? I mean, you were skeptical that they, dumbed it down. Maybe with some other Monster Hunter fans before it came out. But overall, are you enjoying your time with it so far?
I'm much happier now that I have the actual game. The demo, I think, was a little weird and I was like starting to get a little freaked out.
Okay.
But now that it's like the actual whole game, I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to play very much yet.
You know what drives me nuts? I hate having notifications like on my phone that are unchecked or anything like that. I like to keep
I
a
do that
clean
too.
slate. But the guild card stuff, like there's always this notification in my menu, and then it's like, what is this? And I go into it, and it's like, hey, look at this random idiot that I don't think I've played with. I don't know who it is. Like, here's a guy standing with his cat. It's like, okay, so I just constantly have to like go in and look at these weirdos in order to not have that notification in my menu. It sucks.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think most people don't send them to everyone in their online sessions.
But
Like, I
some
think
people do, right?
Most people, I feel like, save them for like their pals. You can only store like 50 of them. I don't think you get anything
What is that?
from
I don't
engaging
want to look at
with
any
them.
more of those.
Well, just ignore that one notification.
I haven't
I
experienced
think
It's
they,
hard for me.
if you accept someone's guild card, it lets their cat show up in your game to go out in missions with you.
Oh, interesting. So there is an
Oh, is
advantage.
that
That's
what it
cool.
is?
All right.
Like instead of just a random pool of like weird generic palicos that they can find, they'll
Yeah.
fight your palico.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
All right. There's something, I guess.
One thing about this that I wish was like clearer, or it would make it easier for me to engage with the game, is like I feel like quests are in too many buckets right now.
There's just too many options for launching a quest.
Well, it's like not just launching it, but like the types of quests and like who you talk to and where you go to
Yeah,
pick
it's a
them up.
little
It's like
overwhelming.
you can go on an expedition. That's not a quest. But then there are then there are investigations, and then there are story quests, and then there are optional quests. But then there are these like bounties and other sort of like. There isn't just like one place in the menu that you're just like, I want to go here and manage all the kinds of things I can do. It's like you need
I feel
to
like the board isn't the quest board basically that.
It's
outside
got
of-
a lot of it, but you still need to like go and talk to someone to register an investigation before you can then undertake that investigation.
Should I be doing
And, like,
investigations? I haven't done any of this crap.
Again, investigations are sort of designed to provide you with different challenges on the same monster if you want to go get those extra items that they have. So
Oh.
you're going to get more rewards, but the time limit might be 15 minutes. You might only be able to die once.
Okay.
It might be limited to 2 players. You might see some other weird monsters show up on that quest that aren't normally there.
Okay.
I guess what I don't understand is why this game just doesn't do what every other game does and just give you like quest log
I
that
think
you
it
just open
used
up
to.
and like use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
The weird
It's a
thing
little
that I've run into too is like, if you even give a sideways glance at a monster, it's like, oh, investigation added.
Yeah.
It's like throwing those at you. And I appreciate the opportunities that they provide. It's like a cool way to kind of incentivize you and focus your grind when you're looking for something in particular. But boy, I don't need 15 investigation opportunities added every time I fight a great Jagras or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, or all of his minions. You like accidentally hit one of the minions and it's like, oh, have you tried? You're going to want to. I'm good here.
we get it. We get
You
it.
do end up deleting a lot of investigations.
Deleting them. Okay. Anything else we should definitely not be missing, especially for people going to the next session of Game Club here? Things that people they should be talking to in the town. Don't miss this. This is crucial. Don't be an idiot type of stuff.
I mean, yeah, but they do lay that out. Like that's one of the things I thought was great. It was like every time you unlock a new thing, you'll get a tutorial window. So even if the tutorial window doesn't help you too much, go take a look at those things that it says to look at. Like when you get to the high rank stuff, you're gonna start to have socketed armor and socketed weapons.
I would suggest like making sure that you're looking at your map whenever you're in the hub and zooming in and just doing a quick glance for the yellow exclamation points. They're difficult, at least from where I'm sitting. I'm not super close to my TV. They can be they blend in pretty nicely. So be sure you're scouring them because they give you like extra missions.
Oh, really? Okay.
And,
I've never even opened my map in that place.
Oh,
Okay.
be sure to talk to the chef also because he's got a lot of little like gathering
The
type missions.
Meowscular one?
The Meowscular chef.
Okay.
He's got a lot of missions that'll give you like if you complete them, additional ingredients for like the chef's choice meal, which is like a really great buff that you kind of accumulate over time. We're just throwing out.
And the
random
key
tips.
there, you do have to talk to the chef, which can
Yes.
be confusing.
He's
Don't
behind the
sit at the
counter.
table. You got to go behind the counter.
Yes.
Oh, I've been blowing that.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I talked to him. I finally figured that out, and I talked to him, and he was just like, it was just like a dozen quests he threw at me, and
Finally.
I was like, oh boy, you've been holding out on me, sir.
You never asked.
Yeah, and there are a couple of quests real quick that are like the egg gathering quests.
Okay.
They're a pain in the ass if you are not equipping the ghillie mantle, that thing that like makes you invisible. So basically, pop that, grab the egg, and then run. Because if you don't, especially the one with the herbivores, where you think, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk. There's these giant things with spiky tails. They see you and they're very territorial and will hit you. One hit will knock you down or break the egg, and you have to do it all over again. But if you have the ghillie suit, they won't notice you're
How
there.
do you get the ghillie suit?
You get it through
It's
early
automatic.
on.
Oh, okay.
You probably have it buried
Yeah.
in some menu.
Yeah,
to do it.
So
Okay.
if you pop that and then grab the egg, you'll have enough time to make it back to your camp without any problems.
My God, I'm so glad that they kept the dumb egg quest.
Are these
More
a
dumb
personal
stuff.
favorite of yours?
Luckily, there's only like
It-
2.
yeah.
Yeah,
I used to be really, really, really good at them. So I would make people like bribe me to complete their egg quests for them. And then we started this rumor in the very old game that if you carried, there's this little like elf dude that like lives in the special zones.
Cool.
So I convinced people that if they carried the egg that they're struggling to even complete the quest to that guy and give it to him, he would like trade you items for better items sometimes. That if you would give it to him, he would give you a Rathalos plate, which used to be like super hard to get.
Ah.
But if you actually like walk to him and talk to him, you drop the egg.
So you're evil, is what you're saying.
You scamp.
That's great.
Good stuff.
Oh my God, but it's fun. Like,
Would you
it's
like
one of those
watch him
things
do
that,
it?
like,
Like stand behind him and go, you can do it. You're almost there, buddy.
This is gonna be huge.
it's got to be way
Oh,
easier now with the
no.
ghillie suit and stuff.
Yes.
But oh my God, it used to be just the worst. But it's one of those things where, like, when you become really good, it's sort of funny to like look back and do one of those quests with your friends. It's like hilarious
Yeah.
because it's so easy then, and you like know what's going on, and it's like a fun like blow off steam type of thing. They used to be like a thing you'd have to do multiple times to like advance to the next tier.
Yeah. Who's sticking this out? Who's in it for the long haul?
Oh, for sure.
For sure, Jeff Cork. For sure, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Probably Laleh.
Uh-huh.
Hell yeah, Jeffem, you riding this thing to the grave?
I definitely want to play more. I don't know how far you guys are going to be.
Let me tell you, we're gonna do high rank, all end game stuff, and that episode is going to be on February 15th. Is when that one's gonna air. And again, I think you got an idea from this conversation. It's not like we're gonna be spoiling story stuff necessarily. It's just talking about the different monsters, and even if you haven't reached that monster yet, I don't think it's the end of the world. So don't feel like you have to see credits roll necessarily. I assume credits roll at some point.
There
in
are
this game.
credits. There's
Okay.
stuff after credits, too. There's some really exciting stuff that I can't wait to talk about next time.
Oh, all right. So next
I
time
don't
we're
think
talking
gonna be
about
that far.
everything else. So especially if you don't care about spoilers, however far you are, please send an email to podcast@gameformer.com because by that time we're all going to be experts. There's a lot of confusion on this
Sure,
episode, but next time around, oh man, I'm never even going to touch the ground again with that insect glaive.
No,
I'm just living in the
You'll
sky.
be throwing away squads.
Yeah,
You don't even care.
exactly.
I really, really got to know what everyone named their palicos.
Oh, mine's name is Ratmouth. It's just it feels like a cool red
That's
wall kind of name.
Rat
for-
mouth?
Mean.
Yeah, a little rat mouth.
I named mine Behemoth from Master
Aww.
Lame.
Chief and Margarita.
That's so lame.
Dan,
Mine is named
Shut
Squillside, and I'm not going to tell the story behind that one.
Oh,
let's
jeez.
just say
Okay.
it involves a dirty word.
Boogie.
Boogie. Is that your real cat's name?
No, it's the traditional Monster Hunter palico
Oh.
years past.
Okay.
I named my cat with a K. So,
Nice work.
yep.
Can we send him the
Nailed it.
email of the week?
Yeah, email the week goes to Jeff. Jeff Cork,
Max.
is that your real cat?
Yes.
Did you make him
better
look
than
like
that.
your cat?
Yes.
You're You're more creative than that.
Well,
Come
I'll
on.
tell you this. I did for that character. I picked the one with the crooked tail, and then I slammed Max the real cat's door. Tail in the door.
All right, that
Parody.
helps. That
Parody's
helps a lot.
important.
Thank you, everybody that listened to all this or watched all this, and thanks to everybody in the Game Informer office that's been playing Monster Hunter and is eager to talk about it. Again, February 15th, the next episode, talking about the rest of Monster Hunter World. It's an interesting game club, so thanks for sticking with us. Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.